What is happening, Chiefs Kingdom? Gary McKenzie back at you again for another episode of Gridiron Lines. And in today's episode, I want to talk very briefly about wide receiver snap counts for the Chiefs, these two preseason games, what they mean, and what it might mean for the remainder of the season. So, in their first game, their first preseason game versus the Saints, Rashee Rice had the most snap counts. He had 25 in that game, playing 39% of their offensive snaps. Then you had Justin Ross with 23 snaps and Ihmir Smith-Marsette also with 23. Both of those guys had 36% of the offensive snaps. Then you had Crawford, who had 20 snaps. And it takes you a while till you get to Nico Remigio. And he had 18 snaps, 28%. And then Cornell Powell had 16 snaps. Ty Freifogel had 14. Scott had 10. Richie James had 7. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had 7. Sky Moore had 6. And Justin Watson had 5. And Gathings had 3. So the Saints game, Rashee Rice had a lot of snaps. So did Justin Ross and Ihmir Smith-Marsette. And I get the feeling these are guys that, obviously the Chiefs are evaluating, trying to see what they can do on the field. And then sort of the known quantities like Valdes-Scantling and Sky Moore didn't get as many snaps. They pretty much played the game with Mahomes, and then when Mahomes came out and when the ones came out, they came out. I'll talk more on that in just a second. In the second preseason game versus the Cardinals, once again, Rashee Rice had the most snaps. He had 24, 39% of the offensive looks. And then Sky Moore had 19. Justin Ross had 18. Ihmir Smith-Marsette had 17. Marquez Valdes-Scantling had 16. Justin Watson had 13. Freifogel had 11. Gathings had 11. Richie James had 10. And then Scott had 6. So noticing something interesting here, Mahomes had 20 snaps on offense in this preseason game versus the Cardinals. Sky Moore had 19. If you go back and you look at the Saints game, Mahomes had, I believe, 6 snaps. Sky Moore had 6 snaps. So this tells me that the Chiefs right now at this point in time are looking at Sky Moore as the number one or first string wide receiver. They might be kind of holding him back a little bit to keep from exposing him too much before the season starts. So I kind of have this gut feeling that they're not showing Sky Moore very much by design, and Mahomes is running with Sky Moore because Sky Moore is running with the ones, and they must be really high on him. The other thing to notice is that Rashee Rice's snap count has been, the highest of all the wide receivers. To me, that says, hey, they're interested in seeing what this kid can do. They're giving him a lot of opportunities. They also want to get him up to speed by the time the season starts because they think they're going to need him. And, Rashee Rice was my draft crush. So seeing him go off versus the Cardinals was a pretty good feeling. I might have had a few butterflies, seeing my crush do so well. But they've been trying to get him up to speed. And the same can be said for Justin Ross, but just not as much volume as Rashee Rice. And then Ihmir Smith-Marsette, they're really looking at him as a player who might make this roster, potentially as a wide receiver or on special teams. So he's getting a lot of looks. And right now, the Chiefs feel like they have sure things, players they know, maybe not necessarily sure things, but players they know what they can do. So those are the Richie Jameses, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sky Moore, Justin Watson, and they're taking a deeper look at some of these more some of these younger players, some of these players that haven't had many years in the NFL, and that all makes sense. So it's pretty much business as usual for an Andy Reid team, just trying to find out where the wide receivers stand and what they can contribute. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else interesting. Oh, in the Cardinals game, Rashee Rice had the second most, so I apologize. I said that he had the most. I think he has the most total in all preseason, but Cornell Powell had 29 snaps at wide receiver and, made some plays. So I think the Chiefs are really evaluating Cornell Powell to see if they want to keep him on the roster. If I was a betting man, I would say that Powell gets cut. But we'll see what happens with that. Let me look at these snap counts, see if there's anything else interesting going on here. No. So the Chiefs continue to evaluate, the wide receiver position, and I want to ask you in the comments, which one of these players are you most excited to see make the roster? Ihmir Smith-Marsette, Justin Ross, or we'll go Cornell Powell. Out of those three, which players are you most excited to see make the roster? As far as the eye test goes on these preseason games, out of that group, I have really liked the way Ihmir Smith-Marsette has looked. He seems fast, athletic. He's made some good plays. I think he could have value on special teams. And so he's kind of the guy out of those three that I hope makes the roster. But we'll see what happens. I kind of mentioned earlier the players that I think, or the wide receivers I think will make the roster. And, right now the bubble players, they're going to be Cornell Powell, Justin Ross, Ihmir Smith-Marsette, Ty Freifogel, Gathings, Scott. I think that, Richie James is a lock to make this roster. Veteran player. The Chiefs have liked what he's done in camp. He can return kicks. He can return punts. So he's useful in many different ways. And then I think Justin Watson, I wasn't really strong on this earlier, but I think Justin Watson will make this team. He's a reliable target for Mahomes. He's, in the right place at the right time. I think obviously Sky Moore, Marquez Valdes-Scantling are going to make the roster. I think Rashee Rice is going to make the roster. And then, everyone else from there is probably on the bubble as far as the wide receivers go. So let me know what you think in the comments. Which of those three players from earlier do you want to see make the team? Do you think that, there's anyone else on the bubble that we should be concerned about? Is there a surprise cut for you at the wide receiver position? You think that no one thinks this player will get cut, but he ends up getting cut by the Chiefs? And then in my next video, I'm going to predict the regular season record for the Chiefs. So I've had a lot of success doing that in the past. That'll be the next video. Semester just started up. School just started up. It's been a very busy week for me, bouncing between my work for the hospital and, teaching and doing this and being a dad. So I've been pretty busy. So thank you for your patience. And next week's video, I'm hoping will be a lot more interesting when we predict the regular season record for the Chiefs. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? What do you think about these Chiefs wide receivers? Have you noticed anything about the snap counts? What have you liked to see? And as always, make sure you hit that like button down there and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers. And, it's a blessing to have as many as we do. And we really appreciate everyone who chooses to subscribe and contribute and participate with us. We've got nothing but love and respect for you guys. So that's all I got to say. Take care. This is Gary, signing out.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.